Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted first to thank, of course, Curtis, the media here assembled. Wanted to provide as much of an update as we can on Jaquavis Richmond, student athlete who was injured during the second half of last Saturday's ball game in Baton Rouge. I will be taking questions, obviously, due to the nature of the injury. For some things, we will not be able to go into specifics, and so I'll answer them as best as I can. Saturday night, obviously, quarter three, I believe it was a punt. Fourth quarter, I believe there was a special teams play, a punt return, or a punt, I cannot remember. Jaquavis looks like he collided with a teammate. He was, of course, at that point, needed first aid assistance. For a brief period, there was some loss of feeling in his limbs, which before he was carted off, he regained all except with the exception of his right leg. There was obviously a bit of some concern, and still is, for Jaquavis and his health as it relates to obviously him regaining that feeling in his lower legs and lower extremities. There was a follow-up with a surgical procedure yesterday morning about 9 o'clock. I was there with him. My staff, Taylor Stewart, our chief of staff, was with us as well. Tarina Marshall, our athletic trainer, was there along with his immediate family. And so all indications now, after the surgical procedure has concluded, I'm happy to report that he has gained or regained the use of feeling in all of his extremities and is doing very well at this point. I do want to and would be remiss if I didn't thank the following people. Obviously, my leader and my president, Rick Gallo, our Grambling State University and Oshner, Louisiana partners on the sports medicine side, the sports medicine and the athletic training professionals at Louisiana State University, President Bill Tate and athletic director Scott Woodward, who visited with us and with Jaquavis personally that Saturday night at Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center in Baton Rouge. I'll stop there and answer any questions at this time, if there are any.
The exact diagnosis that Richmond had?
I do, but just out of respect for the family, I want them to be able to communicate that information. But the good thing is he is doing well. And I've had this conversation with a few of my colleagues and even the president, over the weekend. In 2015, I was personally impacted with a student athlete in a similar situation, Devon Gales at the University of Georgia. And so, being able to retrace these steps and really understand how fortunate and blessed Jaquavis is after undergoing, quite an impactful injury, it's a blessing in and of itself. And so without going into the specifics, it was a head and neck injury. But again, we're happy to report that he has regained full function in his lower extremities and is in doing quite well with his upper extremities as well. Surgery went well. It was about a 4-hour procedure. Started yesterday early morning, about 8 o'clock. They were done right afternoon. Obviously, there was a period of rest and recovery, and I had an opportunity to visit with him before hitting the road to come back up here yesterday at about 3 p.m. He and his family, and he's in great spirits. He and I had a conversation. He wants everybody, to know that he's doing well. Very spiritual kid, very grounded in his spirituality. He took the time, and we all should thank God for God's favor and God's blessings over Jaquavis and what he's been able to overcome through this experience. And, he wanted me to relay that, and I want to do that at this time.
Before this, did you have any prior, relationship with him? What was your connection? Did you have a chance to meet at all beforehand?
Well, we have a relationship with all of our student athletes, which is, why we try to be present, at not just practices, but, on campus and in the dining hall and student in the study hall area, if they're moving about the facility, we try to develop a relationship with all of our student athletes, and Jaquavis is no different. We did have a relationship through that interaction, and so when, I saw him and he saw me in that initial meeting when we got to the hospital, it was a private meeting between he and I, and a great conversation. Where I got an opportunity to just reassert and reaffirm to him that he was going to be in good shape and great hands with the medical staff that have been taking care of him throughout that process.
Say, has he been discharged or is he still there?
Hasn't been discharged. He actually started respiratory therapy last evening. He's started physical therapy this morning. He's doing very well. I can't reiterate enough, how fortunate this is, having gone through this before, again, at a previous institution in a previous situation. And so I'm thinking that without having all the information present, we're looking at maybe another week, before possibly being discharged. Obviously, there's some respiratory therapy, there's some inpatient physical therapy that has to take place before releasing and discharging him at that time.
If there are no further questions, we thank Dr. Drake and Scott for his opening statement.
Thank you.